Welcome to your on TV news desk. Today in the studio, I have Ted Johnston, who's running for mayor. Ted, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Good. So we have a few different things that we want to talk about today. Lots has been stirring in the campaign world this past week. But I want to start with the oldest item, I guess. What we originally brought you in to talk about was the picketers in front of City Hall, the laborers union. So basically, the dispute is that they believe that the city shouldn't not have hired this company, Cyro, to do the cladding project on City Hall. What are your thoughts on this matter?
The city maintains that it has done nothing wrong, and they're going to go to the hearing with that angle. So you have the city on one side saying they've done nothing wrong, you have union on the other saying they haven't. When the hearing is finished, somebody's going to be told that they are right, and somebody's going to be told that they are wrong, and at that time, we'll deal with what it is. Part of what this probably highlights is something that's been brought up through the ratepayer organization that I'm part of for a number of years, that they do not review their policies and procedures with any regularity at City Hall. They don't bother to update things as they come along. They basically wait until a crisis happens and then they go, oh, we should probably look at this. We forced them to go through and redo the PUC agreement about 5 years ago. They haven't touched it since. Things change.
Right.
It should be automatic that policies and procedures are reviewed on a regular basis. And they don't do that. There's stuff on the books that hasn't been changed for over a decade.
So one of the things that keeps coming up too with this is that the way the city is designated is that they can only hire labored work.
That's right.
What are your thoughts on this? Do you think this should be changed so that?
Most certainly. We're one of only 4
cities
in the province.
Yeah.
And Ontario is the only province that allows this practice. The other 9 provinces exempt municipalities from this. Now, that's a huge competitive advantage.
Right.
Ontario is shooting itself in the foot to do this. When they had a private members bill go to the provincial parliament a few years ago, it was voted down. The one NDP candidate who was defending her position when she voted against it said that it only would have saved Toronto 1.7%.
Right.
Well, 1.7% of that budget is almost $4 million. So, okay, it's only 1.7%. It's $4 million.
That's no small feat.
Yeah, that's a huge amount of tax dollars.
Right.
We can't be tossing that kind of money aside when it's not necessary. Hamilton saw its list of contractors drop from 260 to 17. So you have a pool of 260 you can choose from. There's going to be lots of competition. You're
Right.
going to get quality work with low cost.
Right.
Now you only have 17. Oh, 17 is still plenty. Yeah, but it's not 260.
Right. And then so then I guess that kind of brings me to my question. From what I understand, they have passed a resolution so that in the future, the Sioux's designation could be changed. But it'll take a number of years to work towards this. It's not something that can happen overnight.
And the problem is that the Labour Board can just do it again. Like, you can get the decision overturned, but then there will be another instance where they'll do it again, or they'll do it in some other municipality. So you need to get the provincial legislation altered.
So you think this goes beyond just whether the Sioux is designated
Right.
as? So if you were elected mayor, would you move forward with trying to?
Oh, I'd lobby the province heavily to get us to join the other 9 provinces and exempt municipalities from this. It shouldn't be happening.
Right.
We're the only ones. We're the odd man out.
The odd man out. And ultimately, it's affecting local businesses. If the work is coming from Timmins and there's a shortage of jobs here.
And once again, if you were open to any contractor, well, then you're opening it to a bigger pool, and there may be locals who can opt to put in their tenders and get a job.
And then who knows, maybe they're hiring more seasonal workers, getting more full-time positions out there, expanding their business, bringing in more revenue locally.
Yeah, that's the thing.
All right, well, Ted, when we come back, we're going to take a short break, but when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about this other issue that's come up, also in terms of taxes, which is garbage. So we will be back with more with Ted Johnston after this short break. Welcome back to the On TV News Desk. I'm here with Ted Johnston, and we talked a little bit about the picketers last week, your position on that. Now, I want to ask you what your thoughts are. So this week, we've had a little bit of conflict between Mayor Christian Provenzano and candidate Rory Ring. Rory Ring says the mayor wants to up our taxes 1% with this new garbage deal whereby half the garbage collection would be privatized, the other half would be done by the city. Christian says that's not the case. I want to know what your thoughts are.
It's another example of just highlighting this is a symptom of the problem. It is not the problem. The problem has always been that the city does not do a good job of following the Municipal Act. They do not solicit public input to make decisions. They do not present cases to the public for public review. They get staff to prepare a report, the report goes to the council, and council makes a decision, and the public is more or less excluded. The mayor is very unapproachable. Under Debbie Amoroso, the system for appearing before council was much simpler, much easier. She was much more accessible. Appearing before council was a faster event. Now it's an absolutely painful proposition. We actually, as the ratepayer group, had to go to the provincial ombudsman to get his intervention to appear before council and speak. That should never happen in a democracy.
There was that kind of process, and that the process had changed.
It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible.
So you believe that there hasn't been enough public input on the garbage situation. As a candidate, but also as a as a citizen of Sault Ste. Marie, do you think it should be privatized, or do you think it should stay a utility of the city?
Well, I would like to see the actual, reports of, council undoubtedly has had staff look into it. Staff has probably done some diligence and looked at what is possible and what the costs are associated for those things. I'm sure the same things have also been done in a few other locations.
Right.
The trick is pulling that stuff all together, getting it in a format that's easily digestible, and then saying, okay, people, here's your choices, and here's the cost associated with the different choices. Maybe it really is a better idea to privatize the whole thing. Maybe that really will result in cost savings. I do not know because I don't have access to any of that stuff.
Right.
I did a quick Google search and couldn't find anything, I didn't spend a lot of time on it, but I couldn't find anything involving this type of issue. So what you need to do is you need to get that public input. You need to go to the public and ask the public what they want to see. If you privatize all garbage collection and then that company buys up its two competitors, you now have nobody else to go to.
It's not really a free market.
Yeah, your costs are going to be driven up.
Right.
Now, people say, oh, well, that won't happen. Maybe it won't. Maybe it will. Is it worth it keeping the city in the business of doing it just to keep the option open, the door open later, of switching contractors, or even the city taking over the whole thing again? These are things you have to weigh the pros and cons, and you have to look at the money.
So in other words, what you're saying is the research has to be done, but also, you're taking kind of, from what I can see, a democratic approach whereby the people actually say whether or not that's what they want, and then let the onus be on them to decide.
Yeah, that's how democracy is supposed to work.
Right.
Elected representatives, that's the title of mayor and council.
Right.
And also our provincial and federal representatives too. They are elected representatives. They are supposed to represent us, not dictate to us. It is our government. We own City Hall. We own Parliament. It is called the Commons. It is called that for a reason. It belongs to all of us. It's common. The whole thing about the democracy in Canada is flawed because people have given up on it. They no longer participate. They don't vote. Even when they do vote, they cast their ballot and they turn around and walk away. They never put any more input in. William Lyon Mackenzie King has a quote that I just love. He said that where there is little or no public input, there is likely to be bad government, which sooner or later becomes autocratic government. That's what we have here, autocratic government. They make the decisions and we have to live with it. That's not how it's supposed to be.
Well, thank you, Ted, for your input. And you heard him, folks. Vote on October 22nd. Share your input with the candidates who are running.
And when you vote, drag 2 people who don't vote with you.
So that's all the time we have today. Ted, I want to thank you for coming in and sharing your thoughts with us.
My pleasure.
For more information on the campaign, we will be releasing a statement from Ted as well as the story on Sioux Online later today. Stay tuned on TV for more news after this.